moving back and forth as we go. First I want to say that this presentation came about, we were talking about how to get to African American students. That's how it came about. But the way that we have moved forward with it, it's about all students. We have captured all students in this model. And so that's how we're going to be presenting to you both with the African American student research that we initially did, but it has moved on to capture everybody. All right. So I want to give you an overview of St. Leo. First question?
No.
Sorry. I want to give you an overview of St. Leo first, so you can understand we are a unique institution. We are located in Florida, just north of Tampa. St. Leo University is a traditional campus with traditional students, 2,500 traditional age students on that campus. But St. Leo, since the 1970s, has expanded throughout the country. So we have centers located everywhere. So our traditional student population is like any other traditional student population. But then, like where Pam teaches in Virginia Beach, or in Virginia, Chesapeake area, we have centers in Virginia, we have centers in Atlanta, and Savannah, North Florida, Texas, Mississippi, California. We're everywhere. And we're also online everywhere. So St. Leo sort of is an innovator in online education and in distance learning. But our traditional students are just regular traditional students. So we have a unique challenge here in reaching everybody and being able to figure out how to reach our students and mentor them properly, even though they're coming from all different age groups and all different walks of life, all different locations, online, on campus, in person, everything. So that's what we're working on.
As Heather said, the main campus, the population of students is basically traditional age students, but our continuing education students in our centers tend to be adult students. And so again, our online students are mostly adult students as well.
And our students at our center locations are largely African American. So in Virginia, in Atlanta, in Savannah, that's a largely African American student population. On campus, interestingly, having taught in LA and having taught in New York, I thought coming to Florida, I would have a similar student body. But at St. Leo, even though it's a private school and it's expensive, we have a huge minority population on campus of traditional age students. I've never taught anywhere where I walk into a classroom and I've got everybody in my class. So we've got African Americans, we have Latinos, we have a lot of international students, and we have traditional white American student population. They come from all over the country to St. Leo. They come from largely from Florida and the East Coast. So they come from New York, Rhode Island, New Jersey, and Florida, and all over the place. So we're dealing with a wide demographic. And although our students are largely African American at the centers, and we have a lot of African American and Latino students on campus, our faculty does not reflect that at all. I was the very first African American faculty member tenured at St. Leo years ago, and I didn't realize when I came what I was walking into because the students were so diverse, and it took me a while to realize I'm the only one, who's here who's not white. There weren't any Latinos at all. So right now, I've been here for however many years. Since I've become department chair, we've hired several African Americans in my department, and we've also hired many off campus at the centers to deal with the population at the centers, which is largely minority. So we're working on it year by year, step by step, and our students would comment saying, we don't see ourselves in the faculty in the classroom. And that was something that we brought to the administration. They don't see themselves, and what message is that giving them? So that's an overview of who we are. We realized, Pam actually brought to our attention this idea, this project that she did about mentoring African American female students. And she presented at a conference, and we have an annual African American faculty dinner that we have on campus when everybody comes from the centers. So we were all sitting around talking, and afterwards Pam came up, and she said, what did she say?
At the time, one of the things like most universities that our university is engaged in now is rethinking our retention programs for all of our students. And so we knew the vice presidents, everyone was getting together thinking about, what can we do for retention? And so as we were talking about it, we realized that we can't do a one-size-fits-all kind of model. That the programs that we have for retention for our white American students have to be different from the African American students because their needs are different. And so we thought about what that might look like, what a model to reach our African American students would look like. And so as we began to think about retention, that led to our conversations about mentoring, that may be a program that we could look at in order to address the needs of the African American students on campus.
So then the issue is the vehicle. How do you get in and get buy-in from upper administration that this is a program that needs to be put in place? They're already working on mentoring and retention. We have a whole entire new department that's focused on mentoring and retention. So what we were saying to them was we need to figure out a way to give the students what they need instead of what we think they need. We need to ask the students exactly what the need is instead of presenting to them our version of what students need. And that's where this came into play. So when we're talking about a model for institutional model, for how you do this, I think the most important thing is that you have access to upper administration. And that means that when you have your idea, you're putting the right team in place to approach upper administration about the issue. So for us, that meant that we needed access. And in our group, what we presented as a package, which was attractive, was that we are from 3 different schools within the university. So I'm in arts and sciences, Pam is in business, and Victoria is in education and social services. So we are representing the university broadly, coming at it from that way. And we're from 3 different locations. I'm on campus, Pam is in Virginia, and Victoria is online. And St. Leo's focus is really one university. They want to make sure that all of our programs are administering to all the students at all locations. So we already gave them a package that said that. We embodied that. Also, you need access to someone who can go in to the president's office or to the vice president's office and say, this is what we need and this is what we are and what we think you can do for us. So for us, in our, Pam, she brought it to me and she said, Kim, this is something that I'd like to do. How can we do that? And I was like, well, I'm meeting with the president last week. I'll talk to him about it. And then I made...
She got it like that.
She's been there a long time. And then, made appointments with the VP and made appointments with everybody. I wanted everybody to know what we were doing so that I could get buy-in from everybody who would make sure that what we were doing was being taken seriously and given lots of consideration. So I had lots of meetings about this before we even began, before we even started the IRB process. I wanted everybody to know what we were doing, and I wanted to hear from them, for them to say, oh, wow, you really should do that. What can we do to help you? Okay, so that's the other thing. When we started this process, or thinking about these things, St. Leo has been in a unique position of not having been financially strapped during the recession. So we were hiring and hiring during the recession, building buildings, adding centers, getting more students during the recession. So we never had that moment where we had to budget. Just so happens that the first year where we had a flat year was the year we were proposing this. And so it was good that already in the materials we had that we wanted this to be a program that was 0 cost. We wanted to use what the institution already had in place in order to maximize those resources without having to go in there as beggars. I didn't want to come in saying, we need this, we need money, we need money. That's all they hear. So what differentiated us when we came in was saying, oh, we don't need any money. Oh, well, they started listening right then. Like, oh, well, what do you mean? What do you have to say? So once I said we didn't need any money, we just need latitude. We need for you to be flexible enough to reorganize around what it is that we find. That's when they started listening, and that's when they've been very receptive in a flat year. When normally I could go in and ask for money and it was not a problem. I didn't want to be in that position last year. Okay. So, now let's start.
So one of the things that we're just going to give you what we found, and I know that you all have found it as well. We were just talking with Rachel outside about the research that she's done. That, again, as her research found, that our college campuses are becoming broader and more diverse. They are increasing with regard to the numbers of people from different backgrounds and ethnicities. While our faculty may be remaining homogeneous, the student body is becoming more and more diverse. However, the research also tells us that nationwide, still, African American college students, there is a dearth of them on campuses. African American students are still less likely to begin college, and they're less likely to be retained, and they're less likely to complete a college education. So we found over and over and over again, one study said that African American men are said to be the most at-risk college students in this country. While 12% of the people in this country is African American, less than 18% are enrolled in college. And so as we were looking at different things and different ways of addressing this, what we thought bore out in the research, that mentoring programs has been effective over and over and over again for reaching those students and helping to retain them as well.
All right, so what we did, what I wanted to present to the president when I spoke with him was something that he could then use, like it was very useful in fact, because he used this model when he presented at, it's called the BBCB. Are you familiar with the BBCB in Tampa, the Black, Brown, and College Bound Initiative, which is a huge conference that's held every year with
Doesn't that sound good?
speakers.
Black, brown, and college bound?
And they bring in, the first year I went, we had Magic Johnson was the keynote speaker. The next year it was Steve Harvey. This year it was Colin Powell. And this is a big conference.
Oh, yes,
Very-
yes.
It's very big. And they have a president's circle. And our presidents at St. Leo have always been involved in sponsoring this conference through St. Leo. So
Great.
they're always involved. The president's circle, the presidents they sit with each other, the ones who sponsor, and then talk about the issues with Black and Latino students. And so he asked me, because he knew we were doing this, he said, tell me what we're doing with this program. We started the program, we haven't done anything yet. But this is the outline, he presented that. So he's using this as a way to structure thinking about African American and Latino students and
Great.
potential mentoring. So what you have to first do is draw on the institution's values, mission, and goals. Use the institution's own rhetoric so that when you're presenting it to the upper administration, they're hearing what we've already said, what's already there. And so with St. Leo, because it's a Catholic institution, it's a loosely Catholic institution. Most of our students are not Catholic, we have a large African American population. Most of our students are not Catholic, but we are embedded in Benedictine values, and that's very central to the institution, the way that we focus. So what we do is we use those values in all of the language, and we use the rhetoric that the university is using right now. So we've got the values, the 6 values that I'll review with you. But also, the university is into mentoring right now, which was our moment, because that's where the money's going right now, is into mentoring and retention. And the university is about one university, bringing in the centers, bringing in online students to have an experience. Realistically, they're never going to have the experience that our campus students have, but they need to have the same kinds of resources. Getting to find out from the students what they need. So initially, we were talking about this as an African American program, but what I realized is that if I want administrative buy-in to this as big as I can get, we need to have a tool that's going to give information for the entire student population that can be used by every department in the university, so that we're giving a gift to the institution, not something just to be used for our own individual research. So what we did was we expanded the survey to include every student on campus, at the centers, and online. So 15,000 students. The survey was going to everybody. And then I said, and we want every department and every office to be able to use what we find. And that, again, more buy-in, more excitement about the program. African American faculty role models. Pam, you want to talk about that one?
Yes. You want to just go over it now, or do you have anything?
Yeah, just introduce
Okay,
them.
very good. So one of the things that we found in the research is just the significance of having African-American faculty so that the people who are in the seats actually can see themselves standing in front of the classroom. At some point in time, that has to be there. And I just, this is an aside, but I don't want to forget to say this. Having African-American faculty who understand, appreciate, who get excited about mentoring, who don't mind mentoring one another, I think is critical for this program as well. When I was first talking with Heather about it and Victoria, you know, I'm just a little green newbie, you know, thinking about this is what we can do. I had no idea that she would take me by the hand and say, this can be big, let's do this, 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 and this. Again, having access to what she has access to, she doesn't look like it, you know, but having senior faculty who've been there a while, who don't mind mentoring others, is so important and is so critical, you know, to have that in place. So having faculty who don't mind mentoring one another and also mentoring the students is critical for the program to work as well.
Yeah, and to add to that, if remember the old each one teach one? When I came out of grad school in 1996, and when I came into faculty, when I came into teaching, I realized really quick that I was gonna be by myself if I didn't pull people up with me. And that was, it had to be a structured process. So we have, I'm got tenure this year.
Congratulations.
Along with 3 other African American faculty this year. I was letter writing full. This was big. It was a big deal. And so now we've got voices. It's not just me being able to, to speak truth to power. I have other people who can say it without being fearful of not getting renewed or something like that, and that's important. African American alumni, again, speaking the language of the institution. I'm listening and I'm hearing from the development office that what we need is money. We need alumni to contribute. I'm like, well, who are your alumni? You've got all these African American alumni coming out of the centers, and you want them to come back and be involved. They want them to write checks and participate. What have you done to make them feel like they're a part of the institution? We have to reach out to the alumni, not after they leave. I'll never forget, I got a response from a survey that we sent out for academic program review for one of our departments for sociology. I got a response back from one of the students who was an online student who graduated, and she said, it's really funny. I've heard more from St. Leo since I graduated asking for money than I heard the entire time I was there. And I framed that and brought it right up there to upper administration. What are you going to do about this? So if we want African American students to feel involved while they're here, if we get them to feel involved, when we mentor them and we make them feel like they're part of the community, they are going to be the ones who are more likely to be involved when they leave. So when I'm telling this to upper administration, I'm saying, look, you want a pool of donors when you leave who are going to be involved? Let's make them feel like they're part of the place while they're here. Don't send them, don't call them and send them pleas for money, and they don't feel like they have any reason. So this gets the attention of upper administration because that's what they're trying to do. That's one of the goals of St. Leo and every other institution is to broaden that donor base. Okay, and adult learners.
So again, as we said, our university is very different. We have a large population of traditional students on the main campus, but we have a huge population of students, adult students, continuing education centers, students in our various centers. And so if the truth be told, our university hasn't always done a great job of meeting the needs of those students. Most adult students, for the most part, they want to come to class. They want their courses when they can take them. They want them to be convenient. They want them to be at night. They want to roll in and roll out. But every once in a while, there are some other things that they need as well. It's not that they don't need mentoring. They do need tutoring. They need coaching. They need other things. But their needs are a little bit different than the traditional college-age student. And so we haven't always done a great job of helping them to meet their needs. And so we felt like because they represent such a large part of our student population, that they needed to be attended to and to be a part of this model as well.
All right, so here are the values of St. Leo University. And I always, whenever I give workshops where there are people who are way out of outside of our institution, I ask you, do you know your values and mission of your institution? Everybody's got them. And do you know what those are? And I really do that a lot at the Black, Brown, and College Bound conference, because that's the whole point of that place is to get those students graduated. So I'm like, well, you got to speak the language. Do you know what even if you're not at a Catholic university, we've all got them. So what we do when we're presenting this is we focus on the values that have to do with this project. And for us, it's personal development, obviously, for the students, personal development. Community, one university, whether you're online or you're at the center. And responsible stewardship. That's the one. Responsible stewardship. Using the resources we already have without trying to get a different pot of money. Responsible stewardship. Responsible stewardship is what the institution loves. Very conservative in that way about having a balanced budget every year and being able to pay cash for whatever it is that they're doing, including putting up buildings, that kind of thing. So we're speaking that language when we're talking about these programs for our students. Okay, so this is so what we did was, Victoria, who's not here, she is our social worker. We asked, okay, let's figure out what the survey should look like that we're going to send out to everyone now, not just to African American students and to Latino Latino students, but to everybody. What's the survey gonna look like? And I'm gonna show you what we came up with. We decided to do a Qualtrics survey. And the internet's a little slow, so bear with us here. So what we wanted to do was make a survey where the questions were open-ended. So we didn't just want to have a yes-no survey. We'd say yes, no. Are you this? Yes, no. Are you happy with your mentoring experience? Yes, no. You know, things that were not going to help us at all. We wanted to go ahead and do something that was going to, I'm trying to take you into, so you can see what the email looked like. We wanted to go through and let them speak for themselves and tell us what they needed. So, all right. So what we did was we worked on Victoria worked on the survey, and then Pam and I honed it down, and we put it into a Qualtrics. And every single answer pretty much had a window for them to type in what it is that they wanted to say. And they used the windows. They used the windows. So we were looking for a response about at least 100 representative students. Right now, I released the survey last a week and a half ago. We're up to 549 responses.
Wow.
And they are really detailed responses too. And how do we get the big response rate? This was the next thing about institutional buy-in. I knew that if I sent the email out from my email address, the Qualtrics survey, or my coordinator, if she sent it out from her, which is what I usually do, the coordinator sends everything out. I'm like, well, what kind of buy-in am I going to get from students if I send it out from my email? So I said, well, let me go to upper administration. So the University Communications Office, Public Relations, sent it out in an official St. Leo bulletin with the full background. Here we go. Maybe it'll come out. Okay, it kicked me out. But anyway, what we did was we sent it out through the university instead of from ourselves. So the students thought it was something we got to do. And they started responding immediately. I woke up the next morning, I already had 200 and something responses. So so they responded, and they wrote a lot, so that now our issue is how we're going to go through all that information. And so what we've decided is that we're going to, again, here we go. You see how the email header is mentoring survey news?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's coming, and I'm hoping the internet connection is a little slow, see if it'll come up here. I want to show you what the students saw when they opened up their email. And so I got with one of the sociologists who was also in our faculty group, and she said, oh, that's great. Our qualitative research class is going to be we're going to have the class in the fall. So they're going to go through and they're going to do all of our qualitative analysis for us.
That's great.
So it gives them a project, which is what she needed anyway, and it allows for us to get our I don't think it's going to come up. But what I had just wanted to show you how official it looked, and how why the students responded so much, and why it's so important for anytime you're sending something out, it's so important that it comes from a source that students feel like they need to respond to, or that they feel comfortable responding to. It looks official. And in order to do that, you got to do all the groundwork first, right? You got to get out there and get upper administration involved. So when I wrote to the guy who was going to send it out to every single student, I put in that email. I'm like, you know, I guess he kind of knew who I was. But I said, look, I've already met with the president, and with the vice president, and with the dean. I've already got the IRB approval. We're ready to roll. If you can just send this out, it's already approved by everybody. And this is something that the president would like done. Right? And so it went out that day. All right, so this is what the Qualtrics survey looks like. We called it mentoring and retention. And you can see right now there's somebody else responded since we've been here. 558 responses now. And we'll just have to be patient with the internet here. And so then, what we can do is look at these results. And the Qualtrics, as you know, you have a question?
No, just that we have about a minute left.
Okay, so the Qualtrics breaks it down for us. So what we do is, so the Qualtrics breaks it down for us, and we're able to show us exactly what responses we've gotten from everybody. And we're able to say, okay, it's giving us the breakdown. This many people are from this campus or from the centers or from online. This many people said yes, they want a mentor. This many people said whatever. It's already broken down for us. We just need the sociology students to go through and pull out the race and ethnicity because I wanted them to self-identify. I didn't give them boxes for race and ethnicity. I gave them examples of what they might type in there, but I wanted them to type that in themselves so that they would feel comfortable and that so we would know how they viewed themselves. Okay? Is it coming up, Pam?
No, I think scroll down maybe to the side.
Okay, that's still, okay, these are our anonymous responses over here on the left, but the, here we go, reports, all right. And so it gives us everything that we need for the students and for me and for Pam and Victoria now to go through and create the actual report that we're going to present to the university, our recommendations, what is we feel that all of our students need across location, across race, across age, across, so that we can present our report and then we can give the gift to the institution and then we can make our request about what we believe that is needed to reach these students. So you can see here the bar graph showing where most of the respondents came from. Mostly they came from online. But that makes sense because the largest number of our students are online. Campus is our smallest population, but we got a lot of responses from campus students, very vocal responses too. In fact, one of our campus students said, I asked if there's transportation issues for you getting to class, which I meant for the adult students at the centers. A campus student said, yeah, my dorm is really far from my first class. So perspective is everything. Okay, and this is how they self-identified. Okay. So they self-identified, in many different ways, but it's easy. Yeah. And
That's interesting.
I only got one that I can see that said declined to answer. So that's the first 100 responses, and then we've got, 400 more or so of that. And these are all the questions that we asked them.
We need academic help.
When you need academic help, do you know who to contact? Okay, so our time is up.
All right, good.
Any questions?
So what were your final recommendations? Well, some of your recommendations, or have you thought about preliminarily before the data analysis has been done? Have you?
Well, I think one of the things that we're finding as we're looking through that's really important is having separate ways to mentor at each location. The one university mantra is a box that doesn't work. We can say all we want in one university. It's never been practical and it's never worked. We have to have different models for each location, which our past president, if he didn't want to even think about, I think our new president might be willing to change the vocabulary so that we can meet the needs of those different groups of students.
Sure, because each campus takes on its own culture, and we see that we have 5 different locations, and each one of them is completely different.
And I think Pam will tell you in Virginia, they have different locations in Virginia, and each one is different.
Right.
Most of our students are military. We are in Norfolk, Virginia,
Yes.
the largest naval base in the world.
Yep.
Right there.
Yep.
And so most of our students have to happen to be either active duty or veterans or family of veterans. And so there are unique needs of that military population. So one of the recommendations is that, but also we have to have African American faculty role models. You just do. You can't get around it. students have to be able to see themselves in the front of the classroom.
And Latinos,
And Latinos
we've
as
made
well.
some strides with African American faculty, and we haven't made strides with Latino faculty. We still have the same one.